Today we're going to talk about earnest money deposits. What is it? How much should you put down for your earnest money deposit if you're a home buyer? And what happens if you don't follow through with a real estate transaction to your earnest money? My name is Sherilyn Williams, and I'm your local Chicagoland and Indiana realtor, helping you build your dreams through real estate. And I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to my channel, not only to support me, but to also help this information get out to home buyers and home sellers. All right, so you have been looking at homes online for some months, and you've decided to finally bite the bullet and contact a lender to get pre-approved for a home loan. Your lender pre-approves you and they provide you with a pre-approval letter. You then meet with several realtors to interview them to choose the right realtor that you feel will meet your needs. You've been going out looking at homes with your realtor now for a couple of weeks or maybe even a couple of months. And you finally have come across a gorgeous home that you absolutely love, and you tell your realtor, "I'm ready to write an offer." Right then, your realtor more than likely is going to ask you, well, how much earnest money do you want to put down? And if you are a new home buyer, you may be wondering, well, what is earnest money and what does that all mean? Your earnest money is a small upfront deposit that you're going to put down on a home purchase, letting the seller know that you are a serious home buyer and that you have stake in the game. That home seller does not want to take their home off the market if you are not a serious home buyer, because not only are they going to lose home buyers coming to take tours on the home, they will lose money as well. So they want to be sure that you are very, very serious. Now, you may be wondering, well, how much earnest money should I put down on a home? You can put down whatever amount of earnest money that you want, but I often recommend to my home buyer clients that they put down 1 to 3% of the purchase price. So if you're going to buy a $400,000 home, I would recommend that you put down 1% or $4,000. If you choose to put down on the higher end of like 3%, that would be $12,000. But like I said, it's really up to you. Another thing you want to factor is the type of real estate market that you are in, and that's why you want to have a realtor that can advise you appropriately. For example, if you are in a seller's market where there is low inventory and high demand of buyers, it's going to be very competitive, and more than likely there's going to be multiple offers on a home. So the more earnest money that you can put down on the home purchase, the better your offer will look to a home seller. And in contrast, in the buyer's market where you don't necessarily have that much competition, you can put a lower percentage down for the earnest money deposit. So after you decide how much earnest money deposit you want to put down, you're going to tell your realtor, and your realtor will begin writing up the contract along with some other terms, but they're also going to include the earnest money amount. So let's say in this example that you decide you want to put $3,000 down. Your realtor will write that in the contract. You'll sign the contract agreeing to all of the terms and conditions, and then your realtor will send that contract to the listing agent and the home seller, and then they will sign that contract. Once the contract is signed by both parties, it becomes a legally binding contract, and right at that moment, the clock starts ticking. Some of you may be wondering, when I submit the contract, do I have to submit the earnest money at that time? And the answer is no. In most states, you have 2 to 3 days to submit your earnest money deposit. Here in the state of Illinois, it is 2 to 3 days. You can pay your earnest money deposit by personal check, cashier's check, money order, or it can be electronically deposited into a special escrow account, and your realtor will advise you on how to deposit that money. Now, that money is held in a special escrow account with the listing agent's brokerage, or it may be held in an account with your buyer's agent's brokerage. Sometimes the escrow money can be held with a title company or an attorney, and your realtor will give you the details of that before you submit it. Now, like I said, the clock doesn't only start ticking with the earnest money deposit. You have 3 main contingencies in a real estate transaction where the clock is also ticking. And so let's go over those three main contingencies. The first contingency is your home inspection contingency. The second contingency is your appraisal contingency, and your last contingency is your mortgage commitment contingency. So let's go over each of these. With your home inspection contingency, in most states, it's going to be between 5 to 10 days. Here in the state of Illinois, it's 5 days. So once that contract is submitted and the earnest money is in, you need to hire an inspector within 5 days here in Illinois to start performing the home inspection. Let's say at the home inspection, your inspector they're finding all of these problems and the home is really not in good condition. You can either request repairs from that home seller, or at this time you may say, this is too much for me and I just want to back out of the deal. If you do decide to back out of the deal within that 5-day time period, you can get all of your earnest money returned to you. Moving on to the appraisal contingency. Your lender is going to send an appraiser out to the home to assess the value of the home. And if your home comes undervalued, your lender is going to say that either that home seller needs to drop the price, or your realtor may tell you that you have the option to cover the difference known as an appraisal gap. If you decide, you know what, I don't want to do the appraisal gap and the seller refuses to come down on the price, you can back out of the deal and get all of your earnest money returned to you. And the third and final contingency is your mortgage commitment contingency. If the lender has been looking at your documents and paperwork for some weeks, but then they find out, you know what, you really can't afford this home, you can back out of the deal and get all of your earnest money returned to you. Now let's talk about how you can lose your earnest money with the three types of contingencies. Reverting back to the home inspection contingency. Let's say it has been past the 5 days of the home inspection period and you've already agreed that everything is okay. And then 2 weeks later, you come back to your realtor and you say, you know what, I don't even want to go through with the home purchase. I just don't feel comfortable about the repairs and I don't want to do the repairs. In this case, you will lose your earnest money and that earnest money will be given to the home seller. And with the appraisal contingency, if you decide to back out of the deal past a certain length of time, you could lose your earnest money. With the mortgage commitment contingency, this one actually happened to me with a listing for my home seller where the home buyer, we were going through the underwriting process and we were like 2 days away from the closing. And I received a call from the buyer's agent telling me that their client decided to back out of the home purchase. And that home buyer ended up losing all of their money, and that money was given to my home seller. So you want to be sure that you meet all of those contingencies in the time frame provided. So it's very important that you have a really good realtor that knows when those deadlines need to be met and they meet them. Now, something some of you may not know about your earnest money is that when you provide that earnest money up front, it is credited back to you in closing cost credit. So let's say that your cash to close or your down payment and closing cost comes to really a total of $20,000. That $3,000 that you put down for your earnest money deposit will be credited to that $20,000. So really, in essence, you only have to bring $17,000 to the closing. If you are at the beginning stage of buying a home, I hope this video has been helpful to you and that you now have a clearer understanding of what earnest money is and how you can keep it and how you can lose it, and that it is given back to you at the end of closing. If you have any questions about earnest money, send me a direct message or drop me a comment below. Thank you for watching.